Okay, guys, welcome to the M&M Show. My name is Michael.
And my name is Michele.
And together, we are the M&M Show. We talk about men and women. We got a real man in the house today. Kailen Norwood is in the house.
Welcome, Kailen. You are our first special guest. And I would say he is the other M because he's a military man, but he's not only a military man, he's a spiritual man. And that's why we've got him here today, because his life and his life is such an incredible example. Yeah,
we want to call attention to all the incredible the singles out there. They're doing a great job. And Kailen's in the U.S. military.
Yes.
Not only is he fighting for God, but he's fighting for his country. And as long as I don't mess it up, I know you're from Southside Chicago, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, Southside Chicago. You made it out. You chose something noble to really defend the country. Obviously, Chicago. I look at the stats on Chicago. Scares me. The murder rate has increased from 53% in 2019 to 2020. Which is basically 18.9 homicides per 100,000 people to 28.9. I mean, it's just Chicago. I remember when we started the church here, one of the members from Chicago, I was on the phone with him. And we're talking about coming to London and starting a church. And I go, bro, what's that in the back? He goes, it's gunshots. Literally, listen. I was like, are you serious? He goes, yeah, let me. And he turns the laptop and show. I was like, oh my goodness. So for you to make it out of all of that, choose military, choose God, choose I just what my wife said. I think your example and your that's why we wanted to have you on the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes. So my name is Kailen Norwood. I am currently serving in the United States Air Force as an aerospace ground equipment mechanic. Pretty much, I support the ground equipment for the aircraft whenever they need it. I joined the military November 2020, went to basic November 22nd. Spent 7 weeks there, graduated January 14th. Went to tech school January 15th, graduated tech school May 25th. Got to the UK July 2021.
How'd you get to the UK, if you don't mind me interrupting that part right there? Did you want to come to the UK?
No. So during tech school, they have you basically make a dream sheet of every base that you want to go to. And the UK was nowhere on my list.
The UK was not on your list. You wanted to go to Greece.
Yep.
What was your top choice?
My top choice was Italy. Right under that was Japan.
Okay.
Right under that was Greece. And then I put a whole bunch of Florida bases after that. MacDill, Homestead. What else is there? Just those two, actually.
Beautiful. I like when I love the humor. You want to go. Italy is beautiful. But I always love those incredible stories about hard fighting soldiers. And that's the title of this episode today, Hard Fighting Soldier. That's what you are, not only spiritually, but physically. And I think about, I think you told me your mother was in Japan. Is that correct?
Yes.
And when I think about that, I think about one of the Japanese war heroes that everyone loves. I mean, I think I made a movie about him. His name was Hiro Unada. He was a lieutenant, and he's stationed in the Japanese army in Philippines in World War II. And of course, he's stationed, it was crazy. His captain leaves and says, listen, you never break rank, stay in the fight. It may take us a year to come back and get you, keep fighting. It may take 2 years, it may take 3, it may take 5 years, but don't leave your post. He stays, he's undercover, he stays committed. The war actually ends. It gets to a point where literally the government was sending out leaflets and propaganda to say, listen, come out of hiding. We're not going to kill you. He saw it as propaganda. He basically stays in hiding 29 years. They have to get his former or his original captain to come back to the country, and they pull him out of hiding. And when he sees his captain, he says, I never broke duty. I will never break duty until my commanding officer tells me to come out. He was 20. He's like emaciated. There's like it's intense. And I thought about that, and I go, that's called not leaving your post until your commander tells you to. And that's kind of how we got to be. We got to be that committed as disciples. Mm-hmm. I'm also reminded of Winston Churchill's Another crazy story about him. A lot of people don't know. He was trapped behind enemy lines in Africa in war. He's looking for a way out. The British military withdraws. They leave him. He's like drinking out of streams, catching his own food, all this stuff. He knocks on the door of someone's, because he just couldn't take it. He was going to turn himself in, prisoner of war. But it turns out they were English. They pull him in, they feed him, send him back to England. And because it was God who got him out of that situation, Churchill said, I'm never going to give up. And I'm going to make sure we fight this war, not only to protect the country, but to protect the integrity of it being a Christian country, because God saved me and I want to save the country. A lot of people don't know that story. A couple of hard-fighting soldiers right there. So, yeah. So tell me, how did you become a disciple? What was that story? What happened with the sister and all that?
I remember. You were telling me how your testimony involved another single lady.
Another single.
So when I was in the world, I was dating this current disciple that's in the Seattle Christian church.
Okay.
Awesome.
So I want to say she started her studies. And she was like, hey, babe, start reading the Bible. And I was like,
She said, I'm doing spiritual boot camp.
Yeah.
And you weren't ready for that.
I wasn't ready. I was like, can we do it later? And she was like, all right, we can do it later. And then later came, and I'd be like, can we do it later again? 'Cause I'm kind of tired, I'm not going to be able to give you my full 100%.
This was while you were here, right?
Yep, this was while I was here.
Yep. And she's in the States.
Yep.
She's in Seattle.
Yep. So a little bit of context. It's an 8-hour time difference from here to Seattle. So when she's going to bed, I'm waking up to go to work. So she would stay up like 30 minutes, hour and a half to make sure I read the Bible in the morning. So
you're being led by the sisters.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's changed now, right? We've changed that narrative, right?
100%.
Okay,
100%.
Sorry. Okay.
So
we got to start somewhere.
There you go. I was worse than you.
So finally, she had enough of me saying later, and she was like, all right, Beck, keep playing. So she reached out to somebody in her church that reached out to Chris K, my discipler. He reached out to me. So 2 weeks later, she goes, how was your first study? I didn't really have it, but I was like, yeah, it went good. He was just asking me, like, what do I do? Stuff like that. She was like, yeah, all right.
This guy.
Yeah. It's crazy because she knew when I was lying. But I want to say she had faith that I would eventually come around. And
so what happened? Did she get baptized first or did you get baptized?
She got baptized first. She got baptized first.
So did you guys stay together?
No. It was
gave you, an honorable discharge. This is for the honor of God. This is right.
Honorable discharge.
This relationship is
over
right here. In the name of our commanding officer,
the Lord
Jesus. Right there.
How did you take that?
Yeah, exactly.
So
at first,
it was I didn't understand why she needed to do it.
Yeah.
Because you believed in God.
But I never really practiced it. But shortly after the breakup, I fell into the world, going out clubbing, different women, this, that, and the third. So finally, middle of January hits, and Chris K texts me back. He goes, "Hey, come down to the Irish service. Just come out."
And of course, Chris he's studying he's going to be a doctor really soon here. So he reaches out to you. He invites you to church.
I come out.
You study the Bible.
No, I don't know. Wait, I remember. That's a long story.
It's a hard-fighting soldier. That's the episode here.
The following week, I have my Seeking God study.
Boot camp. More boot camp.
Ran away. I went AWOL.
I ran from the battle.
Yep, I went AWOL.
It was too heavy.
You went AWOL.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm worse. I went AWOL 7 times. So but anyway.
So I really beat myself up. I beat myself up over this a few times because I lied and said I had this and that and the third going on. But I really didn't because I was like, I'm finna text this dude back. I'm finna keep playing the game. I'm finna keep doing what I'm doing. And in my immaturity back then, I I started thinking, okay, well, maybe if I use this Bible thing to get back in her good graces.
Kind of like use God, not worship God.
Exactly. So I texted Chris back. I was like, hey, trying to do another study? And he was like, absolutely. So next day we did a recap. He asked me.
Oh, a little accountability in the spiritual army right there. Huh?
Yeah.
Mike.
Did a little recap. Got rebuked on not having my quiet times.
Okay.
That happened a lot during my early studies. Did that recap, ran again. I think we met like 3 or 4 times before I even did the Word of God study because I wasn't doing my quiet times. So fast forward to June, I go home for my sister's. Yep, I go home to Chicago for my sister's graduation. But while I'm there, I just get hit with a whole bunch of news.
Yeah, I remember that. You had a lot of tough stuff happen. Yeah. What happened?
My uncle had passed away on a deathbed.
Uncle dies.
They resuscitated him after an hour, but he's doing really good now. I had an aunt pass away in Memphis that I had to go down to her funeral.
So your aunt passed, but I thought your uncle, they pronounced him dead, but then they brought him back, something like that. They literally brought him back, and he's still alive. And then your aunt passes away. And then what something else that was?
My dad is sick. My sister, her situation is still going on. But all that just hit me in a month. Like, I don't even know how to deal with one situation. So I come back and I go to the following Sunday service. And I just got open with Paul and Dylan and Chris and was like, yo, I'm like drowning right now. I had all this stuff going on at home. Like I need God right now. So we press on with the next few studies and ran again. Because I was like, bro, I'm not gonna be waking up at. I already have to be at work pretty early in the morning. I'm not gonna get up earlier to have a quiet time, pray, and do my whole thing. But I came down for service a few more times and I saw baptisms. So I got inspired by one particularly, and I was like, that's gonna be me.
What was it that hit you?
Yeah, you saw
the person sharing
that war, huh?
Yeah, sharing, the feeling of deliverance after they got baptized. So
I want that. I need something I want to change, but I don't know how. I need the power of God.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So I told my discipler, Chris K, I was like, hey, EMC, that's the day.
Wow.
That's the day. So the night before the 29th, we did my Counting the Cost study at like 12 o'clock in the morning. And the morning of the 29th of October, I got baptized.
You got baptized at the European Missions Conference. You became a hard-fighting soldier for the Lord right there.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. That's incredible.
Beautiful.
And, it's incredible to be a Christian. It is a fight. How would you, maybe he could, just the transition from fighting literal in the military, which you're willing to do, being faithful in the military, which you have to do. You can't go AWOL. And then being willing to die. Those are 3 things that are all a part of the physical fight. But how would you transition? How would you say that plays into the spiritual fight of being a Christian, being willing to fight, being willing to, even to the point of death?
I think they go hand in hand. There's a certain amount of selflessness that you have to have. Military isn't for everybody. It's a sacrifice that I think you really have to wrestle with before you say, I'm going to stick to these principles.
Yep.
You have to count the cost.
Till I die. Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Counting the cost.
Exactly.
Do they say stuff like, hey, I've never, I know my grandfather was in the military, but do they literally say, hey, you have a high chance of dying if you...
Do they count the cost with you in a military way?
Yeah. Depending on where you get deployed to, they'll tell you, hey, you have a high chance of being murdered. I had some NCOICs in the past that have been deployed to Iraq, Afghanistan. They have been murdered a few times, but never got injured. Yeah.
How many people have been murdered since you've been in the military? A lot.
Yeah, we just had those 2 Navy SEALs die on that rescue mission. Those 3 Army Reserve that died in the airstrike. Oof.
See, this is intense. Even hearing you, I know it feels even heavy talking about this, but it's almost like in the military. You understand that this happens.
Yes,
you understand. You get it. This
it's a fact.
It's a fact. People die in war. And I think sometimes as disciples, we get thrown off like, oh my goodness, somebody fell away. Oh my goodness, a lieutenant who used to be a top leader is no longer a Christian. He's no longer a hard fighting soldier. He's left. And it's so normal in military. It's not normal. Like you don't want people to die, but it's going to happen. And I think this is what makes you so profound in having individuals like you that understand that there are casualties in war. Yeah. No one feels good about it. But people die in a war. We're fighting, and you're going to lose friends sometimes and people because Satan gets people sometimes. And I think if we can have a military mindset, we are a family, but a military mindset in the church, it'll help us understand that we are in the greatest battle there ever was that's claimed more lives than the First World War, Second World War, Third World War, Civil War. It's the spiritual war. And 2 people die every second. So there's a lot of people we gotta go out and fight for. So yeah, it's intense, but it's a true thing.
And I think it's a noble cause, isn't it? Like you, at what point? Because you're how old are you now?
22.
You're very young. You're just a couple years older than my son. So what about the military attracted you as a young man to join?
So I graduated class of 2020, right at the beginning of COVID. Didn't have a prom, didn't have an actual graduation ceremony. We did a drive-through graduation. They gave us a gift basket. They had us take a picture and then hop back in the car and then drive home. But what the city of Chicago did, they had everybody who graduated that year, they had their names in the newspaper. But I got used to not doing school because we got out like middle of February and they told us, oh, just come back Monday. And then that Friday, the news said, no, school is out indefinitely. So I didn't want to do school, didn't want to really get a job. So my mom was like, you have 4 options. You can get a job, go to college, you can join the military, or you can get out of my house.
Come on, Mom.
Right, you don't have to go home. You just can't stay here.
Exactly. So I had got a little bit
Chicago
of a belly.
mama right there.
Yeah.
It's good for you.
So I had got a little bit of a belly. So I was like, let me just join the military. I can get paid to lose this belly. Plus the amount of benefits I get, it wouldn't hurt to join the military. So I have a lot of prior service in my family. Have a Navy, Army, and Air Force currently on my mom's side. And then I have a majority Marine Corps and Army on my dad's side of the family. So my aunt on my mom's side of the family really steered me towards the Air Force. She was like, don't join the Army, don't join the Marine Corps, Coast Guard, none of that. Join the Air Force because they have the most amount of opportunities for you when you get out. GI Bill, TAPS, which is pretty much towards the end of your contract. The military will like let you skill bridge to whatever career you want to do for 6 months. It's like a permissive TDY. So for the last 6 months, I can go out, get a job interview to make the transition from active duty to private
secular
sectors.
work or private sector. Yeah.
So you're looking for purpose.
Yes.
And also, losing that belly. There's nothing like physical exercise.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you grew up, I remember you grew up in a tough side of Chicago. So was that a motivation? I mean, probably for your mom it was. It's like, hey, we're not going to be like everybody else, right?
100%. People in Chicago.
The narrative, the black man, the gun, South Side. I mean, that could have been you.
100%. I could have easily taken a different route. Could have easily been like some of the people I know in high school are right now, smoking weed, selling drugs, stuff like that. I remember picking up my aunt from work one night and we were driving home. It's like 9:00 p.m. And we just saw a group of guys running down the street like 2-3 blocks ahead of us. And my aunt was like, what are they doing? And we see 3 men behind them just airing out weapons, just firing off weapons in the distance. So I was like, yeah, we're not going that way.
Wow.
So turned around, dipped right home. Every New Year's Eve, so when I was younger, my mom would tell me, hey, at like 5 o'clock, I need you to like sit on the floor when you're watching TV on New Year's Eve. Because you're going to hear fireworks in the background. And it wasn't until I got older that I knew what she was talking about. So every night they start shooting just for no reason.
Yeah, see this gets me angry right here because
Wow.
it gets me angry because we have all these social narratives that Black Lives Matter. Where were you? How come you're not in Chicago? How come you're not there actually stopping? Groups like that don't believe Black Lives Matter. They believe Black votes matter. And that's the reason why they're not in Chicago trying to stop stuff like this. But it's so inspiring that you decided to join the military. And in joining the military, you joined the real military, God's kingdom. And had you not left to join the military, you may not be a disciple. We may not be able to have you. So how do you feel about world evangelism? Fighting for saving the world. And I know you had that opportunity even in the military to maybe even be the preacher.
Chaplain,
Yes. So I reached out to my chaplain for my group on base. This was shortly after I got baptized. I was like, hey, I need to be radical when I talk to you about it.
I didn't give you too much of a challenge, did I? Just said, be radical, be crazy. Right?
Yeah. So I was like, okay, let's just see how this conversation goes. So I went to my chaplain. I said, hey, I have a curriculum of Bible studies that I want to bring to the base, the first principles. And he said, I'm all for it. Just email me the curriculum. Let's get on his boss's calendar because she has the final say-so whether it gets greenlit or not. That meeting is currently set.
Great. You need to be praying for that.
How many people will you oversee?
So right now they want me in charge of their airmen's ministry.
Yeah.
That's about 1,500 people.
Shut up. 1,500 people.
Yep. 1,500 people.
Men and women.
Is that men and women?
Men and women. Yeah. Yep.
And we're planting a church in Barcelona, Spain. So where is this place that they want you to oversee the men and women, the 1,500?
So
hopefully.
Yeah. It'll
praying. If you're on the show, pray for this.
Yes, it'll be here right now. But what we're working on right now is my chaplain said they're looking for a church to be planted around that area and where I'm PCSing to in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
The closest town.
Wait a minute. So for viewers out there, we're going to start a church in Barcelona. Mm-hmm. There's a potential you could oversee 1,500 people.
Yep.
In Spain.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep. 100%.
So you're gonna. That's
God determines times and places, right? Acts 18.
Yeah. So I got the green light for the first principles, and now I'm training with you and Paul on how to lead a church and how to build a church. So that way, when I do PCS to Road to Spain, I can plant a church there.
And you can be a true hard-fighting soldier.
So you can potentially work for the military and plan a church for our church.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
All right. Let's go.
It'll be in my own time, but that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I don't mind spending that 4, 5, 6, 7 hours after I get off work to put my efforts towards God.
That's awesome, bro.
So
would you have ever imagined, as you were running away from your Seeking God study 3 times, that you would be sitting on the show and telling people that you could be a military chaplain, and not only that, but planning a church for God in His movement?
Yep.
Did you ever imagine?
No.
Dream.
Even early in my studies, I was like, even if I do this for real, I'm gonna just quiet time, come to church, go home.
Just be a
quiet
member.
Time. Yeah, just be a member.
A mediocre fighting soldier.
Yeah.
But God says no.
Yeah, but in the Air Force, we have it's 3 core values. I'm actually writing a sermon about it. Service, integrity first.
Integrity.
Service before self.
Service before self.
And excellence in all we do.
Excellence is overdue.
In all we do.
In all we do. Excellence in all we do.
Yep.
Those are the 3 core values.
Yep. So I thought to myself, I was like, I can't have excellence in all I do if I'm being mediocre. If I'm being just in the background, a fly on the wall. That's not me.
Right.
And that's not what I feel like a disciple should be.
Right.
I think that we should be proactive in all aspects of life, even if you do potentially get in trouble for it. Like I share my faith at work. That's against UCMJ, but that's...
So the military doesn't want you, but you still do it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
that's against UCMJ, but I'm glad I have a chill enough workplace to where they don't give me a trouble.
Enforce it.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Karen, I think you're incredible. I love you very much. I respect you as a young man. You're changing the narrative for what it really means to be someone from South Side of Chicago. You're changing the narrative of what it really means to be totally committed, willing to die for your country and willing to die for the kingdom. God's built you on up. Let's be praying that God opens that door for you to be the chaplain in Spain. And we can have not only a church in Barcelona, but we could say we got a real hard fighting soldier who's not only fighting in the military, but he's fighting for God and start another church in Spain. Right. Thank you so very much for coming on the show. You are flat incredible. There you have it.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. It has just been incredible, Kai, to listen to your story. I am proud to have hard-fighting soldiers, military men that are willing to die for their lives for the freedoms that we get to experience. Sisters, I think we got to be praying for this young man and many men like him to join our ranks. I want to shout out to his mom, who really, ladies, it's important to bring tough love into the family. I think as women, we can sometimes forget how important tough love is, and I see her as a lifesaver in your life. And so shout out to Kai's mom. But we need more men like this young man. We love the singles, and he is an exemplary single man fighting for our freedom and also fighting for souls.